'Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice bread, not one garage, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, bedtime or night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no dream.
The 9th. Alright. Welcome to Facing the Nation, a special edition for Friday, the 9th of September. Check the date. The 9th. Alright. Welcome to Facing the Nation, a special edition for Friday, the 9th of September 2022. Like I do every time we start the show, I want to remind you to call up a friend, call up a neighbor, and let them know Facing the Nation is on. Please also ensure that you follow us on our social media platforms. You can follow us on the People's National Congress Reform page, Facebook, APNU AFC page, Facebook, and the People's National Congress Reform page on YouTube. So don't forget to call up a friend and let them know that a special edition of Facing the Nation is on. As you know, let me start out by saying happy Indigenous Peoples Month. As you know, we're celebrating our Indigenous people in this time, and we just want to let you know that we're here to celebrate with you, and we hope that every effort, every goal that you put forward for this year will be set to come forth. At this time, I also want to remind us that this is also Education Month, and you know, yesterday was Literacy Day, and the coalition team did quite a few things yesterday. And in this part of the show, we'd like to give you a recap of what was done yesterday. Stay tuned.
Since 1967, International Literacy Day has been observed annually around the world.
This year, International Literacy Day will be celebrated under the theme, Transforming Literacy Learning Spaces.
We, the members of the opposition, encourage you to join the rest of the country to drop everything and read at 11 a.m. on Thursday, the 8th of September.
Reading is fundamental to learning and should not be ignored.
Even as we drop everything and read, let us take this opportunity to rethink the fundamental importance of literacy learning spaces, to build resilience and ensure quality, equitable and inclusive education for all.
Thank you very much for joining the live stream, and happy International Literacy Day. My name is Randolph Critchlow, and you are live with us. And we are going to be joining the various MPs around the city at various schools as they read. We encourage you to drop everything and read. We are going to be joining the leader of the opposition, who is at the New Campbellville Secondary School, and he is out there. We have MP Coretta McDonald, who is at the West Ranville Primary School, and we will also be joined by MP Amanza Walton Desir, who is at Tugville Secondary. And of course, if you're joining us now, if you are hearing us, if you're seeing us, ensure that you do your part and drop everything and read with someone, read by yourself, whatever it is that you do. But it is World Literacy Day, and we're encouraging you to read right now. Let me see if I can bring in the audio there with the leader of the opposition.
It's
Right. So we have the various MPs above.
I will start. Which part she wants to read?
She said any part.
All right.
Any boy, any male would like to volunteer. These males, yeah, got to shine, you know. Any male would want to volunteer to read a part? Come on, boys. Let me find you. You want to volunteer to read a part?
I'll leave them if they don't want
All
to.
right. So just she will read a part.
There's two girls said they want to volunteer. One, two. Yes.
You want to read a part. You want to read a part. Oh, I can volunteer.
Ready? Good morning. This morning we'll read from a book called A Cow Called Boy by C. Everard Pan. A Cow Called Boy. The first day of school was a beautiful one. The sun was already up in Kendall and yellowing the land. And the schoolyard itself looked fresh from a summer of rest. The lawns were green, and the trees had grown new buds, and the kush grass, which had been planted in rows to prevent erosion, had been untroubled for 2 months by children playing hide and seek, and looked healthy again. After such a long break from school, the children were so happy to be going back that they arrived early. Only Josh Mahon was late. Twice he had returned home, leading his pet calf, who was determined to follow him to school. But apparently, the calf just didn't feel like staying home. For as Josh was nearing the school for the third time, he heard a soft moo behind him. He turned around to see Boy coming up the road. Boy, he said resignedly, not again. I told you animals are not allowed in school. Josh wondered what to do. If I take you home another time, I'll be double late for school. He put his arm around Boy. You're bad, Boy. You shouldn't have come, but I understand. In a way, we've been together all summer, and it's going to be my first day away from you. You can't take that now, can you? To better think of a way to solve the problem, Josh sat down on a stump by the roadside. He couldn't go back home now, or he would be in trouble with his mother. And he couldn't go to school either, not with Boy tagging along. Maybe he would have to play truant. But on the first day of school, that was no way to start the term. To himself, he said, I don't want to miss the first day of school. Everybody will be there. So, Josh was truly in a fix. What was he to do? Meanwhile, Boy was quietly chewing on a mouthful of grass. Just then, a tall man smoking a pipe came ambling up the road, walking with difficulty, as though he had sustained a fall and hurt himself. He was dressed in khaki trousers and a blue.
If you're now joining us, we want to thank you for joining the live stream. We're looking at the leader of the opposition, who is at New Campbellville Secondary, MP Coretta McDonald, who is at West Renford Primary, and MP Amanza Walton Desir, who is at Tocqueville Secondary. That's all part of the Drop Everything and Read for World Literacy Day, and we're bringing you scenes from those schools. We also have MP Marin Philadelphia at Starters Nursery, but we are going to be joining her in just a bit. We're going to continue to bring you some more sights and sounds from the Drop Everything and Read campaign. The leader of the opposition, as I said, is at the New Campbellville Secondary. MP McDonald, who is at West Roundwood Primary, and Amanza Walton Desir is at Tugville Secondary. Let's see if I can bring you some audio from Tugville. Right. As you see, MP Amanda with the students there at Tugville Secondary. As the students read.
Of our country have special rights. Our right is something people are free to do. They can choose their leaders. They can belong into groups. They can live where they want to live. When people have rights, they also have responsibility. A responsibility is something you.
Right. We go ahead back to the leader of the opposition at New Campbellville.
Saddle me with boy, with that half-dead calf, so he wouldn't do any work around here. And so it continues. You can now read for the class. Come.
All right, we're gonna go. As you join us, as we see a student is taking the mic now at New Campbellville to continue the reading.
That kids slowly as a single pea in a bowl or soup. He no brother or sister to play with. It'd be something for him to get his hand into. Think about it, Bertha. Mr. Kelly had it, and it's free. The calf. I mean, George has been listening, please, Mom. He had said, may I? May you what?
And we have MP McDonald at West Roundwood Primary.
They sat quietly looking at the scenery. All around them, birds chirp, showing their enjoyment for a lovely day. Did you enjoy that? Yes. Okay, boys and girls. So we are going to be very quick. Answer 2 questions from this passage, and then we're going to do something else. Now, what was happening on that morning? One person. They were having a picnic. Who initiated that?
The mother.
All the mother initiated that. And so, children, I want you to understand, boys and girls, that reading is very important. And so, every day we are going to take some time off.
Secondary here with MP Amanza Walton is here. Folks, again, if you're now joining us, we are bringing you live coverage of what is happening with the Drop Everything and Read as the APNUFC MPs go around to schools. MP Amanza Walton is here reading with the students of Tugville Secondary. We have MP McDonald, who is at Primary. And of course, we have the leader of the opposition, Aubrey Norton Reed, with the students of Campbellville Secondary.
Slow down a little, right? Don't try to push it fast. Slow down a little so you're able to stop, pause at the question mark, and stop at the full stop. Apart from that, excellent.
You don't say, Mr. Kelly said. He puffed hard on his pipe, then went on. Well, I suppose you've got to stay away from school today, Josh. Either that or Thai boy at home. Miss school, Josh thought. And today everybody gets his turn in front of the class to tell all he did during the holiday. Oh no, 100 no's. Suddenly, he had an idea. I won't tie him up. Mr. Kelly and I won't miss school either. I know what I can do. What? I'm taking him. Where, son? To school, sir. Mr. Kelly laughed and scratched his head. The schools are getting modern, but I don't think they moved so far as to enroll cows, Josh. Josh started walking. See you, Mr. Kelly, he said. Come on, boy. Let me know how he makes out in spelling and arithmetic, Mr. Kelly said. Sorry. Mr. Kelly said, chuckling. Josh knew Mr. Kelly was making fun of him, so he did not reply. Could hear the school children singing the national anthem as they finished assembly. I have the greatest idea, boy, he said. If only Mistress Antonio will allow me, it will work. Come, one. Maybe you'll be a student for at least a little while. Well, I guessed anyway, but hurry. When they got to the side of the building, though, Josh could hear Mistress Antonio checking attendance. Karen Lawson, here, ma'am. Brad Matthew, present, ma'am. Josh Mohan, nobody to answer. Josh Mohan, stay here, boy, he said to his pet.
To look at him. Mrs. Anthony, who had just closed the register, got up from her desk. She was a tall woman. Her face, which was slightly lumpy, was rough as always. Late the first morning, Josh, she said, yes, ma'am, but with reason. I see. Good reason, ma'am, he said, smiling and shifting his feet around. And what's your reason, she asked, removing the handkerchief that was neatly tucked into her belt and sneezing into it. You see, ma'am, I had some trouble with my summer project. That's why I'm late, Mrs. Anthony. All the children's eyes were on Josh. They knew him for a prankster, and they also knew he always made up good reasons for it. This Josh was something else. Speaking very slowly, Josh knew that this was a time to watch out. When she spoke slowly and in a low tone, she didn't monkey around. Children, She said to the others, "You've all got your projects completed, haven't you?" "Yes, ma'am," they answered enthusiastically. Some held up written accounts, beautifully bound.
Tom and his brother ate their fruit salad from sandwiches. They drank a cup of my
"No, ma'am, you don't quite understand. You see," but Josh was robbed of the chance to explain, for he heard the clip-clap of small hooves on the floor. Turning, he saw Boy ambling down the corridor, flicking his tongue and swishing his tail. You see, Boy did indeed have some human qualities, for with his tiny horns he had opened the outer door, and he was now happy as a lark. Josh didn't know what to say. He looked wildly around. I was all he could manage. His classmates giggled. Josh quickly stepped into the room, closing the door behind him and shutting out Boy. "I gather you are finished, though, Josh." "Yes, in."
Right.
That brings us to the end of our 15 minutes. I want to congratulate those who volunteered to read and to say to you that it is important you read. Reading demands practice. The more you read, the more you learn. The more you read, the more you learn to read and acquire knowledge. So, in the tone of the day, drop everything and read. Thank you.
As many of you would have known, as you've seen on our show, you were advertised on the 3rd of September on the East Coast. And, you know, I think it's fitting with the issues that were raised and things that are happening currently that we give you a little snapshot of what happened at that rally. So for this segment, we'll just be showing you clips from different speakers, you know, so we keep you updated with what was happening at the Golden Grove rally. Enjoy.
The menopause man, they're talking about it all the time. And he's talking about how they're going with the list and what's not. We demand a clean voters list. And we know that Guyanese 18 years and above that are alive and well are supporting the APNU AFC. And that is why we can confidently call for a clean voters list. We need an election that is credible, free, fair, and free from fear. And we can only with a clean voters list. But don't be fooled by this talk about local government elections. They want to impress the diplomatic community. They want to show the diplomatic community that they're holding local government elections. But they deprived us of local government elections for 20 years. So nothing is wrong with delaying it now and fixing the voters list. Nothing is wrong with that. They did it before, those same cantankerous Kavakamites, wicked, stink and dirty PPP. They did it before. But listen, many of the people who are living abroad and members of the diplomatic community, they don't know what really the PPP does do in Guyana on the ground. And this talk about holding local government elections is just one side of the story. But you know right here in Golden Grove how Dharamlal intervenes in local democracy and the elected officials of your NDC. And he has that appetite to steal. And when they give that grant to these NDCs, he is in the middle of it. And my friend Sherrod will say he's a prostitute. He is like them prostitute, just one day. You know, when we elected our local leaders, we elected them to run our affairs. And it is them who must decide what you have to get for your community. So when you see your NDC right now not being able to deliver to you the people in your community, is because the prostitute intervened. Because the prostitute put himself in the middle. And of course, he taking directive from the one who got menopause. So I want you, comrades, to recognize that we are in troubled times. We are in troubled times. And the solution to the problem is to put the cantankerous Kavakamites in the big cup where they hang up and shy them out in the sea and let them sail their way. You and you and you and you and everybody who's watching us, you can do a comparison with the 5 years of the coalition and the 2 years of these vipers. And you will recognize, and even though we were there for 5 years, it's really 3 solid years we had. And you will recognize that even though the coalition had limited resources, we were delivering to all Guyana. We were delivering to all Guyana because we embrace one people, one nation, one destiny. So whenever we get that clean voters list, and whenever we go back to regional and general elections, we vote in solidly for A, P, N, U, A, F, C. One more time. One more time. A, P, N, U, A, F, C. PPP, wicked, stink, and dirty. PPP, wicked, stink, and dirty. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And when I go around the dog, very well. Good night, Golden Grove. Man, are you hearing y'all? Good night, Golden Grove. Good night, East Coast. Good night, East Coast. This man, every time he sit down, all he just tell me is bare lies. And I want to start off by dealing with the biggest liar Guyana ever see. Because at some point, we got to deal with it. And there is no better time than now to deal with the lies so that we could come together and get them out of here. Every time they sit on a press conference, they tell you, he is the only man I know. I don't know before him that could sit down on a press conference for 3 hours, going to 4, and every word that comes out of his mouth is a lie. He asking for investigation into this, investigation into that. We hear the comrades talk about all these things about Hepatology and who must investigate Aubrey Norton. Man was exposed not by just Guyanese because we feeling it every single day, but he got good friend and he tenant along with Vice Media, tell us what he corrupt. And that means he's a big liar. I don't want to expect us to understand. We are only dealing with a VP who just lie all day, but we're dealing with a puppet president that parades with him, who condones the lie and loves to carry on. Right now, he on the biggest PR parade, telling we he dancing with we, he kicking ball with we, like if we can't that he's showing to us. We don't just want nobody to stand up on the TV, to dance and to kick a ball. But when it comes to putting policies for young people like me and for women and men in this country, they have nothing, absolutely nothing to give. And like our leader always say, because they are visionless and they cannot implement plans, and we got to get rid of them when? When we got to get rid of them? I want y'all to understand on this East Coast, we are facing nothing easy here. Because every single NDC that is controlled by the coalition government is under pressure by those wicked liars. And at some point, because they came home to East Coast, I heard my comrade talking about the road that they're doing in Fowles, and we know nobody lived there. But I want y'all to remember, these are the only people who just cater for invisibles. So for all you know, they're seeing the dead people that are waiting for vote make the build the road. But we are permitting it this time. We don't want no grave voters this time. Y'all understand what we're saying? They are telling us lies every single day. I want to tell you one of the things that Jagdeo likes to tell us. He sits down and tells us, while he is receiving billions of dollars in oil money that he can't afford A, he can't afford B, he can't afford C. Well, let me give you some information that is critical. So when they come around telling you, oh, the entire world is facing high cost of living, yes, the entire world is. But not every country is also benefiting from the high oil prices. And that is what they don't want to tell you. Guyana is benefiting from 50% profit every time they send oil out of this country. And Jagdeo sits down on a press conference and says, we ain't got no money. But we understand he like the middleman. He always collecting our money. But we gonna tell you this time, we want every penny because he has to go. And this is what I need every single body here. When they come around me, when they're trying to tell me anything, the first thing we want, Jagdeo must what? Who must go? Jagdeo must what? And Ali must follow, because he is exactly the same. Ali talking about who is a bully, he want handshake. But when a sitting minister who is standing right here in the crowd, he wants us to forget in front of Pegasus when he rocked the vehicle and he wanted to tell people he gonna push the vehicle over. But tell them we ain't forget, and all of them must what?
And I believe the first thing we should do before I speak is observe a minute of silence for Rashley Esmond Jackson. I invite you for a minute of silence. We have got to begin to focus on the struggle against the People's Progressive Party. I said before,
And I say it again, the biggest obstacle to development in Guyana is the People's Progressive Party. And I have said before, if Guyana is to grow, the People's Progressive Party must go. And we must do everything to ensure they go. They are going to go because we continue to expose them. In opposition, you have to expose the government. In opposition, you have to educate the people. This is an education process. We learning from you, you learning from us. And then, as we expose and educate, we must agitate against them. So we are going to shift to the agitation field. I want to make it very clear. Against any ethnic group. It is a struggle for justice against people who want to dominate and control us. That will not happen. One of the things they do, once you start to talk about the injustice, is to describe you as a racist so that you will back down. I know I ain't a racist. I know I've lectured for years at the University of Guyana. And there is not one student of any ethnic group that can accuse me of being unfair. I've worked in the public service, and there is nobody from any ethnic group that can accuse me of being unfair. And I say to people, calling me a racist wouldn't stop me. I know what I stand for. I know what the APNU AFC stands for. It stands for giving Guyana and Guyanese a better quality life. That is our focus. We are focusing on improving the lives of our people. We want to see our people live a better life. We want to see our people get an education that permits us to develop the human resource so that we develop the ability to manage our country ourselves. The APNUAFC will focus on this to ensure our people are educated, and in a very short time we are in a position to manage our own affairs. We have no problem learning from others. We have no problem being supported by others, but we want to develop our own capabilities. That is the bottom line. And so we believe, as we pursue oil, we must look towards learning about the technology. We must look towards producing a core of Guyanese that can monitor, that can audit, and do the things that are necessary to ensure we have a successful oil and gas industry. That will be our focus. But the PPP's focus is for a few of them to get rich. All they focus on is corruption. They are so corrupt that they don't even know what is corruption. It becomes normal. They were thief and believe they just take. It is that kind of culture we have allowed to develop in this society. When a society arrives at the point where its leadership does not know right from wrong, things will go wrong. And things are going wrong in Guyana because they do not know the difference between right and wrong. Let me show you how ridiculous they are. They went to an Indo-Guyanese dominated community called Pigeon Island. And the president goes, I'm going to say he sit down, he fat self, but somehow we get fine quick. He sits down and he tells them, we are going to regularize you. You are going to get your lease or whatever you have to get, your transport. And then they go to Muka, an African Guyanese community. And they said, if you don't move, we can bulldoze you. Who on earth will believe when that Jagabat talks about one Guyana? You know why they don't want to talk about one people, one nation, one destiny? because they're hoping we can be one people so that they control. Here you go. They want us as a nation. It's a totally different thing, eh? You could be one people without being a nation. But worst of all, they seem not to want us to have one destiny. They want a destiny for them, which is riches, which is high quality of life, and another destiny for us, poverty. We cannot live with that. This society must be structured in such a way that we lift people out of poverty, put many in the middle class, put many in the upper class, and ensure that we continuously get rid of poverty. PPP seems to mean plenty poverty persists. They seem bent on ensuring our people are poor. And now I want to turn to your communities. They will go to places like Buxton and they find ex-convicts. Look at the people they choose. You're either ex-convict, ex-backtrack, ex-drugs. You know why? Because they want to have something over them so that they can make them do what they want. But I want to say to the youth, by 5,000 and 20,000, let us not forget the approach they took years ago made a man shoot another man for $20. And when you worship money, you lose humanity, you lose sanity. And so, be very careful and understand that their approach of bribery is not love for people. Their approach of bribery is to create division. Their approach of bribery is to quell the tension. They have no interest in the genuine development of our people, and we must first recognize that. If we don't recognize that, we will perish. And I know we don't intend to perish. And so, I want to say to you that we must organize in every village. We must have a unit in every village. I've said to you before, I didn't intend to be a leader that comes to you at election time. We want to be in your village all the time. And we will continue to campaign until they call the elections. And we guarantee when the elections are called, we will beat the People's Progressive Party. We have to be united. We have to be united with one objective in mind: getting rid of our oppressors. You cannot come smiling, shaking hands, while at the same time you're crucifying me. I would have to be a damn fool, and I ain't. And so, you could smile when you're collecting the money. But soon as you're done collecting, I'm damn fool along the way. That's the approach. Let the damn fools go their way. They don't even have a policy for you. No policy for youth and sport. They talk about the coalition. In a few months, we had a youth policy. But they don't have any. They got a little imp named Ramson, running around the place like a damn fool, just distributing balls. Wants to build basketball court. Oh, I'm going to fix your ground. If you are serious about sport, you will have policies and programs that will ensure our sportsmen develop. You give somebody a ground, but you have no programs to ensure people's participation. And when you tell them, they're annoyed. But even in sport, you see the racism. Linden was producing and continues to produce the most athletes. The first stadium they built, or athletics track, they put it at Lenora. Okay, It done there. We accept it. We come now into government and we are putting down athletics tracks where the athlete and you stop it. What sport you interested in? Long ago they say your mama guy yourself. The approach is not to help people. The approach is domination and control. If they wanted to help athletes, then they would finish that track in Linden, because most of the athletes that do well come from Linden. I'm not saying Lenora shouldn't get an athletics track, but if you are a competent government and you want to improve sport, you will put the athletics track where people are running. You will put swimming pools in indigenous communities because indigenous people swim well. Then you start to talk about a government that knows what it's about and organizing itself. The most, I wish we could have changed the PPP name to Follow Me. Where have I got? I got to a place named Little Africa. And I exposed what was happening. I hear when they tell Jack, he say, where Little Africa there? He doesn't know. Then he flies in when they tell him, and he fixed the roads, etc. And the people say, thanks to the opposition. The damn fool. And we must continue to go meet people and expose them. They don't like to be exposed. Why you believe Jack, they're always in suit and tie? He got a lot to hide. He on is not because he's a lawyer and he needs to be properly attired. It's because he got plenty to hide. Just now you're going to see he can move to 3-piece. And don't be carried away by the fancy dress and the fancy talk. They are covering crimes. That is why they are called white-collar crimes. They are white-collar criminals. I see a lot of people on Facebook. Soon as a young man gets shot, they say thief, the right to kill him. Well, I don't believe you should thief. But I don't believe that you should be killed extrajudicially. But you got high-level thief. You got high-level criminals. Sue came here and told you and tell the journalists them that millions of dollars are going in bribery and corruption. But when it comes to that kind of criminal, you don't want to touch them. The society and protect the big bandit. And we have to change that. We have to change that. I have challenged Jack Dale. I have challenged the FNLE. Put their assets next to their income, and if it could suffice, I will resign. The level of illegalities that characterize their life has made them richer than their age. When both of them came to power, I had more than them. I had a bicycle. I had more than them. I had a bicycle. But by the time you blink, by the time you wink, they got more than all of Guyana. I don't like calling people a thief, so you can say what is done. Me want to say, you like Sue. Well, you hear the people say it, them is thief. And every child knows that. So when they come talking, the biggest crime you can commit in a country is to rob the people of their resources. All around the world, people are going to jail for corruption. But in the PPP, they protect the corrupt. Because they're the corrupt. And so, we have to challenge corruption. Corruption is an evil that ensures your child doesn't get what he or she deserves. Corruption is an evil that ensures the health system doesn't get what it should get. Corruption is an evil that ensures you cannot get the level of infrastructure you need. And so corruption is a crime against humanity. And the biggest criminals in this country, when it comes to corruption, can be found in the People's Progressive Party. And so, tonight, I want to urge you not to be fooled. And I don't only want you to listen to this message, but go in every village and tell the young people, expose this tomfoolery of the PPP, where they come sharing pittance from the table when they gone with everything. People take the pittance, but remember you are worth more. And an APNU AFC government will ensure you benefit more. There is one last myth I want to deal with before we go. They believe in repeating one thing plenty times, no matter how it is not true. That is the strategy. So they consistently keep saying the APNU AFC did nothing for African Guyanese. But how come they take away property from African Guyanese that they got under the APNU AFC? You are getting water 24/7, and the people of Buxton and some other areas will tell you what they did that caused them not to be getting water 24/7. Not to mention that the quality of water has gone back to where it is. You know why? Under us, money was placed into purifying the water. Under them, the money is for the thief. So do not be carried away by this nonsense that nothing was done for African Guyanese. We did for all communities. We did for all villages. And because we were doing it for everybody, we could not do it as fast as they would do it in enterprise. Because when they do the whole enterprise, they got to left out bachelor's adventure.
Program, as we were able to give you a review of what would have happened over the last week with the varying issues that we have been dealing with. And like I do before I close my program every time, I want to remind you to follow us on our social media platforms so you can remain updated with what's happening in the society, and we'll be able to interact. And don't forget to join us next Friday, 12:30 to 1:30 here again on Channel 6. Do enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
'Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice bread, not one garage, not a bit of grass. We love the open country of the Rukununi and the Essequibo. Take time on night, though we may criticize it. This is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no dream.